An upscale coffee shop. Late afternoon. Laughter fills the air. A simple man in a gray shirt walks in, holding a small bouquet of flowers. In the corner, a group of women whisper and giggle. He actually showed up? One of them pushes a wheelchair toward the table and says softly, "Let's see if he still stays." He walks closer, smiling gently. "Hi, I'm Jack." The girl in the wheelchair looks up. Her eyes carry a deep sadness. He leans down and places the flowers on the table. "They said this was a blind date, but I think they were wrong." Jack Turner is 38 years old. He's a single dad who runs a small auto repair shop on the edge of town. His hands are calloused from years of fixing engines and changing oil. His clothes are simple. His life is simple. But his heart, that's anything but ordinary. Jack's friends thought it would be fun to set him up on a blind date. They laughed about it over beers. They made jokes. They said he needed to get out more. What they didn't tell him was that it was all a prank, a cruel joke planned by people who used to be his friends. On the other side of town lives Clara Lane. She's 31. She's the CEO of Lane Corp, one of the fastest growing tech companies in the city. She's brilliant. She's ambitious. She's successful. But 3 years ago, a car accident changed everything. The crash left her paralyzed from the waist down. Since then, she rarely appears in public. She runs her empire from behind closed doors, through video calls and assistance. Her friends wanted to help. They said she needed to get out, to feel normal again. So they convinced her to go on a blind date. They promised it would be fun. They promised it would be safe. What they didn't tell her was that they wanted to test if anyone could see past the wheelchair. Jack has a daughter. Her name is Ella. She's 9 years old. She has her mother's bright eyes and her father's gentle spirit. Jack's wife passed away when Ella was just 3. Since then, it's been just the two of them against the world. Ella is wise beyond her years. She once told her father something he never forgot. "Don't laugh at anyone who's different, Daddy. Being different doesn't mean being less." Those words live in Jack's heart every single day. Before he left for the date, Ella gave him something. It was a handkerchief she had embroidered herself. The stitches were crooked, but the message was clear. Strong hearts walk farther. Jack folded it carefully and put it in his pocket. Now, standing in this upscale coffee shop, Jack feels out of place. The marble floors shine. The furniture is expensive. Everyone here looks like they belong. Everyone except him. But he came here for a reason. Someone needed to show up for this date. Someone needed to be kind. Clara sits in her wheelchair near the window. She watches people walk by outside. She sees couples holding hands. She sees children running. She sees a world that keeps moving while she feels stuck. Her so-called friends sit at a nearby table. They watch. They wait. They want to see what happens when Jack realizes the truth. One of them whispers loud enough for Clara to hear. "This should be interesting." Clara closes her eyes. She knows this was a mistake. She should have stayed home. She should have known better than to trust them. But then the door opens. Jack walks in with his gray shirt and his small bouquet of flowers. He looks nervous. He looks around the room, and then he sees her. For a moment, time stops. Clara waits for the disappointment to cross his face. She waits for him to turn around and leave. She waits for the humiliation. But it doesn't come. Instead, Jack smiles. A real smile. A kind smile. He walks straight toward her. Jack reaches the table and sets down the flowers gently. "Hi, I'm Jack." Clara looks up at him, searching his face for pity, for fake politeness, for anything that would confirm what she already believes, that this is just another joke. "I'm Clara," she says quietly. Jack pulls out the chair across from her and sits down. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't glance at the wheelchair. He just looks at her. Really looks at her. At the table nearby, her friends nudge each other. One of them pulls out her phone and starts recording. They're waiting for the moment Jack makes an excuse and leaves. But Jack stays. "So," he says, his voice warm, "my friends told me this was a blind date. I'm guessing your friends did the same?" Clara nods slowly. "Something like that." "Well," Jack says with a grin, "I hope they gave you better information than they gave me. I showed up thinking we were meeting at a diner. Took me 20 minutes to realize this place doesn't serve burgers. Despite herself, Clara lets out a small laugh. It's the first genuine laugh she's had in weeks. From the corner, someone giggles. One of Clara's friends leans toward another and whispers just loud enough. She's in a wheelchair. Let's see how long he lasts. Clara hears it. Her smile fades. She looks down at her hands. You don't have to stay, she says quietly. They were just trying to be funny. Jack's expression doesn't change. He leans forward slightly. Maybe they were, he says calmly. But I'm not leaving someone alone because of a joke. Clara looks up, surprised. There's something in his voice. Something solid. Something real. Jack starts talking about his daughter. He tells Clara how Ella loves to fold paper flowers, how she makes hundreds of them and leaves them all over the house, how he finds them in his toolbox, in his truck, even in his shoes. Last week, Jack says, I found one in my coffee cup. I didn't notice until I'd already poured the coffee in. Courage son on Clara laughs again. A real laugh this time. The kind that reaches her eyes. The people watching from the other tables start to get uncomfortable. This wasn't supposed to go this way. Jack was supposed to leave. He was supposed to prove that no one would want to be with someone in a wheelchair. But Jack isn't leaving. He asks Clara about her work. He listens when she talks about her company. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't try to fix anything. He just listens. At one point, Jack's phone rings. He excuses himself and steps outside to take the call. The moment he's gone, one of Clara's friends walks over to the table. She leans down with a smug smile. Poor thing, she says in a fake, sympathetic voice. He's just pitying you. Clara's heart sinks. Maybe she's right. Maybe this whole thing is just Jack being nice because he feels sorry for her. But then Jack walks back in. He must have heard the comment because he stops right next to the table. He looks at the woman who just spoke. No, Jack says firmly. I'm admiring her. The woman's face goes pale. She stammers something and walks away quickly. Jack sits back down like nothing happened. He picks up his coffee and takes a sip. Sorry about that, he says. My daughter wanted to make sure I wasn't embarrassing her. Clara stares at him. No one has stood up for her like that in years. No one has treated her like a person instead of a problem. Why are you being so kind to me? She asks. Her voice is barely a whisper. Jack sets down his coffee. He looks at her seriously. My daughter taught me something, he says. She told me that being different doesn't mean being less. And honestly, I don't see anything different about you. I see someone smart, someone funny, someone who showed up even when she probably didn't want to. Clara feels tears building in her eyes. She blinks them back. You're not like most people, she says. Neither are you, Jack replies with a smile. That's what makes this interesting. They talk for 2 more hours. They talk about books and movies and favorite foods. They talk about their biggest fears and their wildest dreams. They talk like 2 people who have been waiting a long time to be heard. When the coffee shop starts to close, they both realize how much time has passed. Clara looks at Jack with something close to gratitude. Thank you, she says, for staying, for being kind, for seeing me. Jack nods. Thank you for giving me a chance to. As they leave, the friends who set up the joke watch in silence. They thought they were being clever. They thought they were being funny. Instead, they just witnessed something they'll never understand. Real kindness, real respect, real connection. After the date ends, Clara thanks Jack one more time. Then she disappears into a car that's been waiting for her. Jack watches the vehicle drive away into the city lights. He stands there for a moment, holding the empty coffee cup. He thinks about her smile, about her laugh, about the way she looked at him when he said he was admiring her. Then he walks to his truck and drives home. He tells himself it was just 2 strangers being kind to each other at the wrong time. Nothing more, nothing less. Life goes on. Jack goes back to his repair shop. He fixes transmissions and changes brake pads. He picks up Ella from school. They eat dinner together. They do homework. They watch movies on the couch. 3 days pass. On Thursday morning, Jack gets a call. It's from a building management company downtown. They need someone to fix the elevator system in a corporate tower. It's a big job. Good money. Jack agrees immediately. He needs the work. The building is massive. All glass and steel. The kind of place where important people make important decisions. Jack feels out of place the moment he walks through the revolving doors. A woman in a sharp suit greets him at the security desk. "You're here for the elevator repair?" she asks. "Yes, ma'am," Jack says. "Follow me." She leads him through the lobby, past expensive artwork and marble columns. They take an elevator to the 15th floor. When the doors open, Jack sees a long hallway with frosted glass offices on both sides. At the end of the hallway is a conference room. The woman gestures toward it. "They're waiting for you in there. The CEO wants to personally approve all building modifications." Jack's stomach drops. He wasn't prepared to meet with executives. He thought he'd just be working in a maintenance shaft somewhere. But he nods and walks toward the conference room. The door is already open. Inside, a long table is surrounded by people in business attire. Lawyers, managers, board members. Everyone looks expensive. Everyone looks important. And at the head of the table, in a wheelchair, sits Clara. Jack freezes in the doorway. Clara looks up. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The room goes silent. Everyone turns to look at Jack, then at Clara, then back at Jack. One of the board members leans over and whispers to another, "That's the CEO." Jack's mind races. CEO? The woman from the coffee shop? The woman he thought was just someone's friend playing a cruel joke? Clara's wearing a tailored gray suit. Her hair is pulled back. She looks powerful, professional, completely different from the vulnerable woman he met days ago. But her eyes are the same. Kind, searching, real. "Mr. Turner," Clara says, her voice steady. "Please come in." Jack steps inside, still holding his toolbox. He feels every eye in the room on him. He must look ridiculous. Work boots, stained jeans, a company shirt with his name stitched on the pocket. Clara gestures to an empty chair. "Please sit." Jack sits down slowly. He sets his toolbox on the floor. Clara looks around the table at her executives. Then she looks back at Jack. "Ladies and gentlemen," she says, "this is Jack Turner. We met a few days ago." Murmurs ripple through the room. Clara continues. Her voice is calm but firm. "Mr. Turner treated me like a person, not like a CEO, not like someone to pity, not like someone to fix. He treated me with dignity and respect, something I haven't experienced in a very long time." Jack doesn't know what to say. He just sits there listening. One of the executives clears his throat. "Ms. Lane, with all due respect, what does this have to do with the elevator repair?" Clara smiles slightly. "Everything." She wheels herself closer to the table and pulls out a folder. "For the past 6 months," Clara says, "we've been developing a new initiative, a humanitarian project focused on accessibility and dignity for people with disabilities. We've been searching for someone to lead it, someone who understands what dignity actually means." She looks directly at Jack. "I want Mr. Turner to lead this project." The room erupts. Executives start talking over each other. Some are shocked, some are confused. One man stands up and says, "Ms. Lane, he's a mechanic." Clara's eyes go cold. "And you're a man who just interrupted me. Which one of us is unqualified?" The man sits back down. Clara turns back to Jack. Her expression softens. "You don't have to answer now," she says, "but I'm serious. You already know what this project needs. You know how to treat people like they matter. That's more valuable than any degree or title." Jack finally finds his voice. "I don't understand. Why me?" Clara wheels closer to him. She speaks quietly, but everyone in the room can hear. "Because 3 days ago, you saw me, not my wheelchair. Not my disability, not my company, just me. And you chose kindness when everyone else chose cruelty." Jack thinks about Ella, about the handkerchief in his pocket, about the lessons his daughter has taught him. "Strong hearts walk farther," he says quietly. Clara's eyes widen. "What?" Jack pulls out the handkerchief and shows her. The crooked stitching, the simple message. "My daughter made this," he says. "She reminds me every day that being kind isn't weakness. It's strength." Clara stares at the handkerchief. Then she looks back at Jack with tears in her eyes. "Your daughter is right," she says. "And so are you." The board members watch in stunned silence. This wasn't what they expected. This wasn't how corporate meetings are supposed to go. But Clara doesn't care. She's the CEO. She makes the decisions. Mr. Turner, she says formally, will you consider my offer? Jack looks around the room, at all the powerful people, at the expensive suits and the judgmental faces. Then he looks back at Clara, at the woman who showed up to a cruel joke and stayed anyway, at the person who built an empire from a wheelchair. Yes, Jack says, I'll consider it. Clara smiles, a real smile, the kind that reaches her eyes. Good, she says. Then let's start with fixing those elevators. After that, we'll change the world. The story spreads like wildfire. Someone at the coffee shop recorded the whole blind date on their phone. They posted it online thinking it would be funny. They wanted people to laugh at the awkward mechanic trying to impress a woman in a wheelchair. But the internet saw something different. They saw kindness. They saw respect. They saw a man treating a woman like a human being instead of a problem to solve. The video goes viral. Millions of views in 24 hours. Then someone recognizes Clara. They realize she's not just any woman. She's the CEO of Lane Corp, one of the most powerful people in the tech industry. The news picks up the story. Major outlets, local channels, international press. CEO promotes mechanic after viral blind date. From coffee shop to boardroom, a story of dignity. Single dad shows corporate world what leadership really means. Jack's phone doesn't stop ringing. Reporters want interviews. Talk shows want him as a guest. His repair shop is suddenly flooded with customers who want to support him. His old customers tell everyone they know. I've been going to Jack for years, they say proudly. He's always been this way. The local news runs a feature story on his shop. They interview his neighbors, his daughter's teachers. Everyone has something good to say. But the most interesting calls come from the people who set up the blind date. Clara's so-called friends start reaching out. They send messages. They try to call. They want to apologize. Some send flowers. Some send gifts. All of them want forgiveness. One of them shows up at Jack's shop in person. It's the woman who said Jack was just pitying Clara. She stands in the doorway, looking ashamed. Her eyes are red. She's been crying. I'm sorry, she says. We thought we were being funny. We didn't think. Jack wipes his hands on a rag. He doesn't look angry, just disappointed. You didn't think what? That she deserved respect? That she was a real person with real feelings? The woman looks down at her expensive shoes. We were wrong. We were so wrong. Yes, Jack says quietly. You were. She leaves without another word. Jack watches her go. He doesn't feel satisfaction. He just feels sad that it took a viral video for people to understand basic kindness. The community response is overwhelming. People who used to ignore Jack now stop him on the street to shake his hand. Parents point him out to their children as an example of what a good person looks like. Even the mayor mentions him in a speech about community values. But the best moment comes 3 weeks after the viral video. Jack is at home with Ella when there's a knock on the door. He opens it to find Clara on his doorstep. She's in her wheelchair, smiling. Hi, she says. I hope I'm not interrupting. Before Jack can respond, Ella runs to the door. You're the lady from Daddy's phone, Ella says excitedly. Clara laughs. I guess I am. Ella kneels down to Clara's level. Did my daddy make you smile? Clara looks at Jack, then back at Ella. Your daddy reminded me that I still can. Ella grins. That's because he has a strong heart. Strong hearts walk farther. I taught him that. Clara's eyes fill with tears. You're absolutely right, and you're very wise. I know, Ella says matter-of-factly. Then she hugs Clara without hesitation. Clara freezes for a moment. Then she wraps her arms around the little girl and holds on tight. She can't remember the last time someone hugged her without treating her like she might break. Jack watches from the doorway. His heart feels full. That evening, the three of them sit in Jack's backyard. They eat pizza, they laugh, they tell stories. Ella falls asleep on Clara's lap. Clara looks down at the little girl, then up at Jack. Thank you, she whispers. For what? Jack asks. For seeing me, Clara says. For staying. For teaching your daughter to be kind. Jack smiles. She taught me first. 1 year later, Jack stands outside a beautiful building with large windows and accessible ramps. The sign above the entrance reads, Lane Foundation, Center for Dignity and Independence. Ella holds his hand. She's 10 now, taller, still wise beyond her years. Are you nervous, Daddy? She asks. A little, Jack admits. Don't be, Ella says. You're good at this. She's right. Over the past year, Jack has led the humanitarian project. He's helped design accessible housing. He's created job training programs for people with disabilities. He's changed hundreds of lives. But today is special. Today is the grand opening. Inside, the building is filled with people, families, community leaders, people in wheelchairs, people with canes, people with service dogs. Everyone is welcome here. Jack sees Clara near the front of the room. She's standing. Actually standing. She's wearing prosthetic legs. She's worked for months in physical therapy to get to this point. She still uses her wheelchair most days, but today she wanted to stand. When she sees Jack and Ella, her face lights up. She walks slowly toward them. Each step is deliberate, careful, but confident. Ella runs to her. You're walking. Clara kneels down carefully and hugs Ella. I am, because someone taught me that strength doesn't mean giving up. She looks up at Jack. Thank you for everything. Jack helps her back to her feet. I didn't do anything special. I just showed up. That's exactly what made it special, Clara says. The ceremony begins. Clara gives a speech. She talks about dignity, about respect, about second chances. A year ago, she says, I sat in a coffee shop waiting for humiliation. What I found instead was hope. One man showed me that kindness isn't pity, it's power, and that power can change the world. She gestures to Jack. This man didn't see a CEO. He didn't see a wheelchair. He saw a person. And because of that, hundreds of people now have a place where they're seen too. The crowd applauds. Jack feels his face getting hot. He's not used to this kind of attention. After the ceremony, the three of them walk to a nearby lake. Clara uses her wheelchair now. She's tired from standing, but happy. They sit by the water. The sun is setting. The sky is painted orange and gold. Clara looks down at her prosthetic legs. The metal catches the light. It shines like hope, like possibility, like a second chance at life. They thought they were making fun of me, Jack said.